On this episode, we travel to Munich, Germany. We drop in on the Walk 21 International Pedestrian Conference. We talk with the Mayor of Munich about walking. Finally, we learn about a European initiative for 30 kilometer per hour speed limits. Stay tuned.
We're in Munich talking with Jim Walker, who's founder and director of Walk 21. What is Walk 21?
It's an organisation we set up in the year 2000 to support professionals and connect them in with community activists and also with politicians who actually do care about walking and are interested in it, but don't necessarily know quite what the right thing to do is to get people to walk more. And we've been holding conferences around the world, one every year for the last 14 years, to sort of build a community and sort of try and work that stuff out.
And you're just wrapping up one of your conferences here in Munich. What did people talk about this week?
It's been quite a mix, actually. Interestingly, here in Germany, it's the first time in Germany. They're very consultative people, and so the whole process of wanting to engage in the community has been really important to them. You see, just outside where we are here, outside the Transport Museum, we've had the whole conference inside the Public Transport Museum. So many of the sessions have been held so the community could actually take part in that and be part of the process. And so it's not about academics being locked on the inside. It's very much engaging the community from the beginning, and that's something that's been really impressive here.
What was the theme of this year's conference?
It's all about making connections. So we talked about connections across the disciplines, because walking as a subject inside a local authority, for example, not many people have the responsibility of being the walking person, the walking officer. There's very few people anywhere in the world who are the walking minister or anything like that. And so we cross-cut so many disciplines. What we've brought together here are people who are architects, planners, health professionals, engineers, economists even, and psychologists, and we're working out where that common ground is and how that joint responsibility is actually helping to deliver a city that really does make things walkable more. And that's really what Munich seems to be quite successful about. But they weren't complacent. They wanted to know how they could do a bit more of it, so we've been trying to support them with that as well.
Where did the conference attendees come from this year?
Yeah, it's been quite a fascinating link here because we've been doing this 14 years, as I say, and this year we've had people from 40 different countries. I think we've topped 35 in previous conferences, but that seems to suggest to us that now we've definitely got people in every continent, and I think 5-6 different African countries here. And what we've recognized is, what they're saying to us is that why are you spending all your energy and all your conferences so far, mostly anyway, apart from Mexico last year, why are you in places where most people you're having to work really hard to remind them to walk, to tell them and convince them that walking as a choice is the right choice and the good thing for them to do, for their health or for whatever the reason. When they say, why are you doing that when we've got millions, literally millions of people walking for necessity in so many of our countries, and we want your help to make it attractive and safer for them. And they're asking for that help. So you're spending all your time banging the drum trying to get people to listen, but we're all already listening. So can you come and help us too? And it's an interesting point, and something that I think we have to address as an organisation is how we can support both walking for necessity and people who choose to walk by choice, and we certainly have to be relevant to both types. And of course, we have to make sure that there's a good exchange between these two different types of people and different things happening in different countries, to make sure that if there's anything that we can learn from each other, we should share that knowledge between both.
And would street design manual from Europe or North America, would it work for someone in a developing nation in Africa?
Yeah, I think the whole manual idea is a really interesting one, but it's quite a traditional sort of westernized approach that, we'll write it all down and we'll make up some rules and we'll tell people how to make it happen in a perfect world. I've seen these manuals for many years, and it is great to have it written down in a perfect situation. This is what you could and should do. But the reality is many people are finding that the manuals are too constraining. The laws even are prohibitive to actually the sort of inclusion that we're looking for in trying to make a particular local situation work. And so interestingly here we had some people who, very much are promoting their new manuals, and we've got some great ones published this year I might talk about in a moment. But we also had an interesting guy that came from the States actually, who suggested that you should actually do the wrong thing. Try doing the wrong thing and actually rip up that manual, throw away those rules, and just challenge that old perception that there is only a right way to do something, and just give it a go with maybe something that you hadn't thought about before that hasn't necessarily been written down, but we know and we is common sense that would actually make a difference.
So you want to get back to manuals?
Yeah.
What's been going on?
I just mentioned those two manuals because we've hit a pretty symbolic moment actually, particularly in Europe. But these are international documents that have been published this year. One was by the World Health Organization that produced a document on road safety, and for the first time ever, believe it or not, this year, who've been looking at road safety have focused on pedestrians. 270,000 people die every year on our roads worldwide, and these are people that are avoidable deaths. And they reckon that with the publication of this strategy, if people accepted its findings and implemented its recommendations, they'd actually have a chance to save, could be 5 million lives. This is extraordinary stuff.
What's the second manual?
Okay, so the OECD manual is one that's put together with the people who are the brains behind the transport ministers around the world. And again, for the first time, we've never had pedestrians seen as relevant to the transport debate at an international or sort of national between country conversation. And they wrote a document to look at what can be done to support pedestrian journeys. What was happening in countries around the world, and how could things be improved to support their needs. And they've really highlighted, and I mean it's common sense to us, but they've written it down, published it, and put all the ministers' names against it. And it's really important that they've done that to recognise that that common sense stuff that, if you can't walk to the public transport stuff, the transit, as you might call it in the States, if you can't do that, then you're not going to be able to use it properly. And we need to prioritise as public transport authorities the ability to walk to and from your destinations. And it's that sort of logical stuff, but getting it written down, getting it acknowledged, and recognising how that relates to safety, how you build in inclusion, how you ensure places are attractive. That's the stuff that we start to partner together and really deliver change.
And you mentioned 40 different countries represented here, but close to half the delegates came from Germany. How's that compare with the number you've had from Germany in the past?
Yeah, I think we've had 3 people from Germany in the past. So, one of the reasons to come, and it was a bit of a risk for us, is that they don't particularly travel. They haven't come to our conferences. And I can't believe in a country like this that really they're not doing anything for pedestrians in their places. And I knew it wasn't true. But I don't know, for whatever reason, they weren't traveling and coming to talk about it and share it with us. So I thought, well, we'll come to you. Let's find out what's happening. And it's been great that we've had more than 250 of these people been here sharing their experiences. And it's given me real confidence that actually maybe we could almost do that anywhere and find out what's going on. It would be great to really understand. Sometimes you have to do that. You have to go out and reach out and find out what the real story is.
Months from now, a year from now, after you've gone back home, working on next year's conference, what difference is it going to make in Germany having, a couple of hundred people, talk about walking and the issues related to walking for a week?
Yeah, I would be. I need to be realistic about the fact that, this has been 3 days and it's great, and we give everyone a pat on the back, we give it focus and attention, and we bang the drum, and everyone's talking about it. We've been in all the national papers. We've really changed, opinion here, which has been great. But realistically, what happens next? What happens on Monday? I guess that's a question for all of us, but in many ways I think we've opened an opportunity here. We've got all the politicians from lots of different parties have come and have listened to the debate and get it now. They understand what we're talking about. They didn't want to imagine that we were going to teach them how to walk, but they do understand that the planning for people fairly and to imagine the sort of equity that thinking about and providing for people who walk in their communities is the right thing to do. And I think they're probably doing quite a lot already, but some of the debates that were most popular with the German delegates especially were things like shared space. Over 100 delegates came to that session. It officially stopped at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. At 6:30, they were kicking them out because they had to lock the doors of the museum where they were debating. And even on the street the next day, they went out and explored how they could implement that in a particular place. Over 60 people were down there drawing and painting and photographing, and they're really keen to do it. What's interesting here is that it's actually illegal to have shared space in Germany. They haven't caught up. The laws haven't yet caught up with the sorts of things that is legal in so many countries surrounding them. In fact, every country surrounding Germany, it's a really popular initiative. But here they haven't managed to find the time for the legislation yet. So these people are saying to us, we want shared space. We want to have that crazy, chaotic sort of place where pedestrians are in the mix. It makes it safer. We know that stuff. Everyone else has proved it. Please, come on, let's catch up and demonstrate we can do it here.
Your 14th conference. Did you have any idea you'd still be going when you were organizing the first one? And what's changed over, well over a decade now?
Sure. No, this is an absolute accident. This is not a plan. We'll keep going so long as people keep inviting us and people keep coming to the events. And they keep talking and they keep sharing their stories. And what I've found over the years is the quality just gets better and better. I think we've gone from making the case, providing the health arguments, the transport, efficiency, carbon, obesity, those things are long written up now. And what we found is that people are then using that evidence to justify investment in projects. And over the years, we've seen people excited about ideas. We're now at the stage where people are saying, look, we did it. We've published the evidence, we've proved it works, and so we've actually rolled it out. And 14 years later, we're now seeing project after project in some really quite unusual places, people having the confidence to take more risks and do bigger schemes and measure success in the same way as they've done in the past. And I'd like to think somehow or other, however small, we are gradually changing the world, and that's a very satisfying thing. So once a year when I see it all in one place and see all those people sort of sharing all those stories, I think, crikey, we've got to do this again. Because I think what they say to us is, come together in one place once a year, at least you realise that you're not alone. I think when you go home and it's just you, or just you in your community, or you're the only professional who gives a damn in your authority, or you're the only politician who's willing to stick your hand up and say, actually, I walk to work and I'm happy about that, I don't need a car. It can be a bit of a lonely experience, and we've had quite a few sessions this time with some mayors, for example, about whether walking, whether it's political suicide or whether it's the path to sainthood. And they tell us it's sainthood, but I think it can be quite dangerous along the way.
We're in Munich talking with Mayor Munich. Why did you want to bring the Walk 21 conference to your city?
Because walking is the best form of sustainable mobility. And if you think that you have a vision of a sustainable and pedestrian-friendly city, then you have to bring the Walk 21 to Munich.
What difference does it make to have the conference here rather than just sending some of your public works people to a conference in another city?
You know, that's a very new topic for our peoples. I think pedestrian promotion is not really in the brain. It's not in the brain of our town councillor, and it's maybe not so in the brain of our citizens. And with Walk 21, we can tell the people that walking is not only walking and going by feet, it's connected with town planning, with city development and commercial aspects, also health aspects. And for us, we start thinking to bring down CO2 emission. And if this you like to do, you have to answer some questions. And one very important question is, how do you manage sustainable mobility? And you will not answer, or you cannot answer, we build no new roads for private cars and pollute our city. That's not the right answer. If you want to have a sustainable city, then you need a sustainable mobility, and you have to think in public transport, you have to think in bicycle traffic, and you have to also to think in pedestrian walking.
What are the things that work well for pedestrians and walkers in Munich now, and what areas need the most improvement?
Yes, we really don't start from the beginning, because we had some very good development. For example, in 1972, where the Olympic Games were in Munich, we create a pedestrian zone in Munich, a big one, and we put every few years a new space to that pedestrian area. Now we have a very big one in the heart of the city. But there are other places we need to change. For example, islands where the traffic goes around, it's not really common for the people. And if you like to have a livable city, it's automatically a pedestrian-friendly city. And what we have to do right now is to invite our citizens, to participate our citizens in what they suggest, what we should do, that they feel good as a pedestrian in our city. And we start this with little projects. We are not as far as other cities, but we are on a good way. And with Walk 21, I'm thinking that's a push in the right direction. It's a push for the politicians, and it's a push for the people. And therefore it was very important that Walk 21 is right in the city of Munich.
And almost half the attendees at the conference were from Germany. Do you find other cities in Germany are also interested in walking?
I think so, because thinking has changed. You know, in those days, we always speak about the car-friendly city. I think we have to change this thinking, and we are on a way, especially the young people. They think in another way. We have to swap from a car-friendly city into a pedestrian-friendly city, and we have a lot of people who will help us to come to that vision.
And several years ago, Munich hosted the Velocity International Bicycling Conference. What difference did that make to the city?
It's very analog to the Velocity conference, you know. In the forefield of the conference, people make jokes about will you teach people cycling? They didn't know that it's very important that a conference will start and we will discuss the technical things and all that stuff. After the Velocity conference, there was a big push to promote bicycle traffic. For example, when I started as a mayor in 1996, we had 6% model split of bicycle traffic in the city. And then we had the Velocity conference in 2007, and then we get a real big push, and now we have around about 17 to 18% of bikers of the whole traffic in Munich. And this is what I think we get the same from Walk 21. In the Vorfield they made jokes in the same way. They said, will you teach people walking? It's stupid. And after this conference I think we do a good discussion and a good conversation and not a stupid one.
Now, if someone were to visit Munich 20 years from now, 30 years from now, a generation from now, what difference will it make for your city to have walking and bicycling improved?
I think bicycling and walking will rise up very high. What we feel right now, since the last 5 years, the individual traffic goes down. It comes down in the last 5 years from 41% to 37%. I think that's the development in the next future, so that we will have a lot of bikers in the city and we will have a lot of people who walk in and will see how wonderful it is to walk through a city like Munich.
We're in Munich, and who are we talking to now?
Hi, my name is Daniel Zimmermann.
And my name is Gunhild Preuß-Beyer.
What's your organization?
I come from an organization called Health Prevention Shop.
And I come from an organization called Verkehrsclub Deutschland, kind of a traffic association for environmental friendly traffic. And together we are part of a network called European Citizens Initiative for 30 kilometers per hour inside towns and cities, which is in miles per hour is about 20.
And what is the initiative?
We're trying to collect a lot of signatures within all European Union, and we hope to be able to gain so many signatures that the European Parliament and the European Commission deal with this issue and create a guideline for all the European countries to have this speed limit down from 50 kilometers per hour to 30 kilometers per hour.
So how did this initiative get started?
There had been, following the rules of European Union, to be at least 7 persons coming from 7 different European countries. They together have to go to the European Union, to the Commission, and we want you to make a legislative process about this issue.
This actually follows a longer tradition. For about 30 years. There's already efforts to lower this car traffic speed in cities and towns.
So why is 30 kilometers per hour important? Why is that better than 50?
Oh, it's very important. It's especially for the safety. And there is a lot of benefits if speed limits are lower. There will be more safety and a higher quality of the life in urban areas. And we also want to have consistent rules all over the European Union so that every car driver knows the same rule here as in my home country. We think it is an effective measure against climate change, air pollution and oil dependence, and against noise. So life will be better, sustainable. That is what we want.
At the moment we are here at a big conference called Walk 21. So pedestrian traffic is starting to be taken really serious in Germany. And such a rule for 30 kilometers per hour would support development in which the traffic powered by human muscles has got more chances in towns and cities. For example, bicycles could also much more drive on the streets and not next to the sidewalks with the pedestrians. This would also gain more room and freedom for the pedestrians next to all the protection from noise and pollution.
So what's the current status of the initiative?
So we are collecting signatures. We have to reach in the end 1 million. Now we don't know if we can reach this aim, but we try it and do our best. And we have built a network all over the European countries, and we will follow our issue in the future and on different ways try to implement lower speed limits.
So what is the future of speed limits in your initiative? Beyond gathering the signatures, what's next?
In every case, we will go on working on local levels because the initiative needs support from everyone and everywhere, and whether we succeed or not, it will not be the end of the way for our idea.
Well, we have to change also the direction where the car industry is going. At the moment, especially the German car industry builds cars bigger and more speedy, and we must turn this tendency to smaller and lighter and quieter cars, and we must turn to a tendency more to go not by car but by other means, foot, bicycle, public traffic.
Which actually inside towns and cities are already faster, more comfortable than cars. It's only a question of status why people still try to go inside towns by car. Public transport is very good in Germany, actually.
Visit us on the internet at www.pedestrians.org.